Hello, friends. Welcome to Pod Maverick After Dark. This is Kirk Henderson and Josh Bowe. We are joining you. Oh, goodness. It's about 10:15 here on Thursday night with Game 1 of the NBA Finals in the books, where the Dallas Mavericks got boat raced, 107-89. How you doing, Josh?
I'm doing okay. You've had a pretty long day. What's your energy levels at? Are you angry? Are you into it? Or are you kind of worn out? I'm curious because we didn't talk a lot during the game.
I would say I'm just tired. I mean, you watch a first quarter, like, and granted, the chat probably doesn't care, but I drove to College Station back today, and then went to a kids baseball game and like stood out in that 95-degree heat for about an hour before the game. And then
you drove to College Station and then did that after that? Oh, yeah. You're super dad.
Well, it's fun watching the kid play baseball. I just have to share this story because I thought it was very funny. At my son's baseball game tonight, it's machine pitch, and we were playing at like a softball, like Berkner softball stadium. And the backstop is a lot further back than we're used to playing with. Machine pitch balls kept going by the poor catcher for the other team, and this poor kid wasn't very good at throwing. And 2 or 3 or 4 times he would go and get the ball and then try to throw it to the pitcher, only to beam one of our batter in the back. And I almost watched a pair of parents get into a fight over it, because it was like, this poor kid shouldn't have been playing baseball. Oh, well, things happen. And, in a very similar vein, things happened to the Dallas Mavericks tonight, where they were down 37-20 after the first quarter. And with the exception of about a 6-minute run in the third quarter, never really in the game. I mean, this was Salam in the chat says, please, please, please work on 3-point defense and closeouts. And Salam, if you listen to our preview show, that was that first quarter in particular, first half, and was essentially what Josh warned about. If you listen to the preview show, like, you don't really, like, 3-point defense. If everybody can shoot 40 to 42% from 3 on open looks, then you're going to have games where you just get ran off the floor. Like, this is not like their 3-point defense is kind of a myth. Because then what happens is, if you're over challenging on the 3-point line, you then rush guys to the rim because you're getting blown by. And the Mavericks' entire defensive scheme to get to this point has been daring teams to make 3-pointers. And the Celtics are literally built to make 3-pointers. So this is, like, there are elements of this game. This is another funny comment. Joe Biden says, awful coaching channel is going to have a field day. The Mavericks did make a lot of mistakes. I'm not going to sit here and say that they didn't. But the Celtics also just had some outstanding shot making. And Dallas had the direct opposite was of shot making.
Yeah. And I mean, as bad as it was from 3, the Celtics finished shooting 38% from 3 as a team, which is obviously, that's a good number, but that's not like oh my God, this is like they're pouring in shots from the heavens, like we're totally done, like, like a crazy volcanic night. Mm-hmm. The thing is, and it's the volume, and that's what's so killer about the Celtics team. Like, they shot 42 threes. That was over half their shots. Like, they lead the league in 3-point rate. Like, Joe Mazzulla and this team, they are the math team. They just trust that the numbers are going to go in their favor, because the shot attempts they take, they feel like it's just the most likely outcome is they're going to win the game because of the threes, and then the shots that they try to take away on the other end of the floor. Like, it's just,
well, they also,
it's just tough. It's just tough.
The Celtics had some really, like, once the threes started falling, it also clearly opened up other elements of their offense inside the lane. The second half in particular, once it was after the Mavericks cut that lead all the way to 8, they ran some actions which got some great looks at the basket. Like really, really good stuff.
Celtics were 15 of 15 in the restricted area.
Like that, yeah. And there's, when the Mavericks got it to 8 points, and I'm sitting here wondering, like, are the Mavericks going to come back and win this thing with Kyrie playing simply like, I mean, I wrote about it, and like, if any Kyrie fan yells at me, I don't care. Like, that's one of the worst games I've ever seen Kyrie play where he was engaged. Like, he was locked in and playing hard and sucked. Like, that is not something I'm used to seeing from Kyrie. And then the other guy who's been extremely important for the Mavericks, Derek Lively, looked his age for the first time since probably like game 3 of the Oklahoma City Thunder series. I mean, he was like the bad Josh Green energy. And those two factors where I'm sitting there going, God, if the Mavericks make this a game and one of these two guys figures something out, they're going to win. And then the Celtics went on a gajillion 0 run in the last 4 minutes of the third quarter to basically put the game out of reach. I mean, to put it kindly, I am like understanding the Celtics executed very, very well. The Mavericks as a team were really, really bad. And I don't think it's, that first quarter shell shocked them. Okay. But they were not awake. Yeah. Like Lucas in the chat says they've got to come out with more intensity. I agree. I mean, they played the first 6 minutes of the first quarter pretty well. And then they just, Porzingis comes in the game and
it changed completely.
And kudos to Porzingis. Like, that's the player that we saw in like 2019, 2020. Like, that sort of just execution and shot making. He was isolating smaller players every time. And granted, he's 7'3", so technically everybody is a smaller player. But like, he got Josh Green on one where he basically put his knee in between Josh Green's legs and moved him out of the way and took a jumper. And my question is, like, what in the hell is 6'4.5" Josh Green doing on Porzingis to begin with? Like,
that's the problem the Celtics present is you just see all these matchups and you go, what the hell? Why is this guy guarding that guy? And it's because they always play 5 players that can shoot high percentage. It's the OKC kind of team, but on steroid, like without a Josh Giddey, without a quote unquote Lou Dort, who wasn't a good shooter until this season. So, well,
the Mavericks were so. The Mavericks were so, and we'll probably circle back to all this and why, but the Mavericks were so poor offensively, it was resulting in all these damn cross matches in transition. And the Celtics really pushed in transition in a way that the Mavericks tried to and got shut down repeatedly and kind of embarrassingly, which made them tentative to do so the rest of the series, the rest of the game. Where do we want to go with this? Because I mean, this could be like a 15-minute podcast. So we could just be like, bye guys, because, one of my group chats was like, well, not listening to any podcasts. See you guys on Sunday.
I know no one's going to listen to this. I don't know. Do you want to start with the offense first or the defense first? Because I think
the offense is what killed them. Like, I think I'm reading the chat and I think the Mavs like fan base is frustrated at the defense, but the offense was the problem.
Yeah, there was some frustrating moments. There were definitely some things on defense that were troubling. But at the end of the day, Boston's offensive rating for this game was 115, which isn't good, like a good defensive number, but it's also not bad. Like, it's about a middling. That's like a middling number. That's about what the Wolves averaged in the regular season for what it's worth. So, and they were like the 17th offense in the regular season. So that was like a middling number. And to hold Boston to that number is actually like, you can take that as a win, because if you have a good offensive game, you probably, it's either close or you at least have a chance, or if you're not outright win. And I thought the big thing for me in this game, and I know people are kind of disagreeing with me on Twitter about it, that's okay, is so Luca makes that step back 3 in the third quarter to cut the lead to 8. When did he make that? He made that with 4:28 left in the third quarter. That was the moment I think everyone just started going, uh-oh. Because Luca was having an outstanding scoring game he was scoring the ball really well. Besides, he couldn't make threes. He was 4 of 12 from 3.
4 free throws.
He was, he was really good at the rim. This was one of his best rim games in a long time. He was
because they gave it to him. They were like giving it to him, and he nearly he hurt himself attempting to draw a foul on Al Horford, where he like slammed his leg into the stanchion, where he fell real hard. He tripped over Al Horford, and I'm just like, dude, please don't get hurt. Please don't get hurt now trying to do it, because he was really pissy with some of the non-calls that he got.
Yeah, it was a tough game for that. It was a tough whistle for them. But also, I thought the Mavericks destroyed Boston on a couple of their rim attempts, and they didn't get called fouls. So I thought it was kind of a weirdly called game where they got.
I mean, there were very few fouls called overall. I mean, so 16 for the Mavericks, 32 overall. But that first half went by there's a reason why we're podcasting so early. Like, the game was over.
Yeah, neither team shot 20 free throws. They shot the same amount of free throws, got called for the same amount of fouls. But it was weird because it was one of those things where they were not calling any fouls at the rim, but they were calling a lot of perimeter fouls, which is the thing I know that really pisses you off sometimes when they call those touch fouls at the 3-point line, and then you go to the rim. And this is both ways, because the Mavericks take advantage of this with their rim defense, and then they just maul you in the paint. But I thought so Luca made that shot, and he was rolling. And everyone in the arena, everyone watching's like, because Luca was scoring well. He had 5 of 5 in the restricted area. I think that's the most shots he's made at the rim in a playoff game this season. Like, scoring the ball very well. And I was thinking, okay, all game the Boston has been kind of executing their defensive strategy, which is what we've talked about ad nauseum, is they're going to let Luca score, and they're going to stay home on the role players. They're going to stay home and shooters in the corner. They're not going to let Lively and Gafford get lobs, and they're going to let Luca shoot floaters. They're going to let Luca get some layups. They're going to let him shoot some mid-range shots. He's going to get some step-back 3 opportunities, because I think that's the correct assessment. Is I think Luca and the Mavericks are at their best when Luca's beating you with his pass. Yep. And Boston gave him the Steve Nash treatment, and they're like, outscore us. Exactly what we talked about. And Luca likes to score, and he puts the fear of God in these coaches. And there's moments where the coaches lose gumption, and they're like, okay, we can't have Luca score 70. But it got so bad. It got so bad in the first half that because Luca was passing up shots in the second quarter. The Mavericks were down 29. He got to the rim twice, and I remember he kicked it out. And we're talking in our chat, and we're like, "Is he okay?" He was kicking out the players that weren't even open. Yeah, and then he finished the half on a little bit of a flurry. He came out in the third quarter, and that flurry continued. And they whittled he's got I know he doesn't want to do this, but if they're going to be sitting at home on this many guys, he's just going to have to force the issue. He was doing a little bit too much. Did that in the third, for sure. Yeah. And in the first half, he did a little bit too much of kind of foul baiting attempts, which it's just I don't think he's going to get these calls in Boston. Maybe he will at home, but again, he got to the line and then he missed 3 of 5. So it's like, what are we? I mean, again, I'm criticizing the only guy who had a decent offensive game. So the Mavericks were terrible when he was off the floor. I mean, he left the floor in the third quarter. He was the only reason the Mavericks were even remotely close to the game. Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. This isn't even I'm just talking kind of just strategy. Yeah. And the thing that I'm saying is they come out of that timeout, and the Mavericks did not play well, and they had some unforced errors. Kyrie missed an open three. God, Kyrie was so bad, man. I know. We should circle back to Kyrie, because he's definitely more the reason they lost this game than Luca. 100% sure. But they never changed their strategy. They never started doubling Luca. And when he hit that 3, the game goes to a timeout. 29-point lead is down to 8 in the third quarter. Boston, the ghost of this Boston team's clutch woes are starting to seep in. They never changed. They never blitzed him. I think Derek White doubled him. But it wasn't like one of those normal doubles that usually come in front of it. He kind of trailed Luca after Luca kind of went around the screen, and Luca never really saw him coming, and they got a steal and a layup or a dunk out of that, a layup out of that. But other than that, they did not blitz or trap him in the pick and roll when Orford and Porzingis did not play him all the way up unless they switched. And even if they switched, it was 1-on-1, and no one was open. And I think it's Lively had 1 field goal attempt. Gafford had 3, and I think all 3 of them were offensive putbacks. PJ Washington and Derek Jones Jr. had 5 combined 3-point attempts. That is not a lot. They didn't shoot well. They were 1 of 5, but the 5 is the bigger number than the 1. Yep. So for them to only have 5 3-point attempts is just telling. They just didn't have the open room. Yep. And one of them was a Luca 3
that was as a result of a tip out.
Yeah.
And he airballed it basically.
Yeah.
Like that one didn't even really, like, to me, that doesn't count in terms of the process of the offense.
Like, you look up and down the box score, like the Mavericks took 84 shots total, and I think Kyrie and Luca, Luca had 26 and Kyrie had 19.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no one shot the ball. Like, Maxey played 19 minutes, had one shot attempt, no threes. We said Derek Lively with his one shot attempt. Josh Green in 20 minutes had 4 attempts. There was no room on the perimeter for the role players, and that's by design. And they're just playing the odds because Luca was efficient and he scored well, and he needs to keep scoring well, and he needs to have a big scoring game for them to have a chance. But the Celtics are just making a guess because you can't shut off everything, right? You can't hold Luca to 10 of 35 shooting and also hold the role players, to few field goal attempts. Like, you have to. It's a give and take, and the Celtics are making what they feel is the right bet so far.
So maybe you can explain this to me. So we obviously talked about how, and I actually got asked about this on the radio today a couple of times. The lob has been such an effective weapon for the Mavericks. They didn't really give many opportunities. My favorite one was Kristaps Porzingis just undercutting the shit out of Derek Lively, like backing up into him, knowing he was there, and then complaining that he didn't do that after the fact. But Lively was moving and trying to get to the basket, and I really felt like I'm trying to think how to describe it. It kind of reminds me of like when a wide receiver gets bumped going over the middle, and he was just not there. Like, the timing was all off. The physicality was really, like, it was rough, man. And I wonder, are those things there if they're sitting at home? Because it really feels like the Celtics, particularly when Porzingis is in the game, they're able to just sort of hang out in these passing lanes because they don't need to make, 5-step closeouts to go from the box to the corner because they have KP hanging out there.
The corner 3 is the shortest closeout.
So right? Luca is basically going to need to score so often at the rim that they do something that they do something differently. Okay.
Yes, or make threes, because he was 4 of 12 from 3. And I think that was the last thing we talked about on the preview pod. He has to have like a 42, 43% mark from 3 for this series. Now, it's one game, so it can even out. But we're just saying, like, the Mavericks are not it's gonna be difficult for them to beat this team if Luca is 4 of 12 from 3. And then we can maybe segue this. It's also going to be difficult for them to win if Kyrie is 0 from 3. It was a bad game for Kyrie.
Our biggest criticism of Kyrie for most of this season has been he really decides, okay, I'm going to take this. I'm going to let this game come to me. Yeah. He came out firing, and he has some ghosts that he has to chase off. He's lost 11 straight times to Boston. I'm pretty sure is what the stat is, or at least 11 straight times in Boston. I can't remember which one, but he's been bad there. The crowd really was in his head. The ones that frustrated me were not like, he hit some real tough shots, and he's a smaller guy. He's always going to hit tough shots.
He was pretty good from 2,
but the threes, he had 5, and 4 of them were open, and he just missed them. And I'm sure, he'll say something to that effect after the game, but there's really not much more to say. He has to be better and more efficient. You cannot take 19 shots and score 12 points. You cannot do that.
No, and then he only had 2 assists, 3 turnovers. Mavericks had 9 assists as a team.
The assists, like that was actually, that's literally what I led my recap with, where our guy Matthew at Mavs Moneyball is like, well, it's pretty hard to get assists when everybody is missing every shot off of Luca passes, which did happen. Like that.
They also just didn't take enough shots.
Sure.
Even if they made shots, Luca would have finished with 6, 7 assists.
Yeah. I mean, a few more. Yeah. There was definitely, I wonder what his potential assist thing would be coming off this game. It's not the end of the world, but the team issue with it, Kid called it out during halftime. I'm not sure if you saw that on the broadcast. They showed a little bit of him talking about it. And it's, they just have to do better than what they did. They had 7 when the game was, they had 2 during junk time, and 7 for the game is horrible. They had more turnovers than assists. They had no assists in that third quarter. 0. Yeah, like that's,
I've never really seen that before. Like, I think their season low was like 14 or 15.
Yeah.
No, that's not their season low. I think their season was a little bit less than that. But
So
still, that's crazy.
You're out there and so that's and a lot of that is Boston defense. I'm not going to sit here and say it's not, but then there's also just like guys make shots. Like
yeah, for sure. But to me, I just keep coming back to the attempts though. Like even if they made shots, like they just didn't shoot. The role players didn't shoot enough to make it matter.
No. Well, that became very clear when they were down 29 and they go like they were down. They went to the maxi small ball thing earlier than I thought they would, but when KP wasn't in the game, and then the Mavericks are down 25 and then they're down 30 points. And what's the point of playing small ball if Maxi Kleber's not going to fucking shoot it?
Yeah,
one shot.
Yeah, maybe there's some, defensive versatility. You could switch a little bit easier because the Mavericks did do what you asked when we talk about the defense. Like they let Lively play on the perimeter and didn't.
He was awful.
It didn't go well. So they probably went with Maxi so that they felt like they could probably switch better. But yeah, if he's taking 0 threes in 19 minutes, the Celtics are going to start shooting.
I mean, he wouldn't even. He was doing peak 2022. Like this was when Jeff Skin Wade went on his kind of like pre. It was the internet had it up for a while, but he basically was like, "You guys need to leave Maxi alone," because Maxi was so awful in March of 2022, and then in April 2022 against the game 3 or whatever against Utah, where he hits 8 threes in a game. Like you just got to be a threat to shoot the ball. He played 19 minutes. He had 1 assist, 1 made field goal, 1 block, 1 turnover, and it was that kind of wonky offensive foul call is what it is. But if he's your break glass and in case of emergency option, you got to do something. You know what I mean? Like just do so. And again, that goes to all the role players. I mean, right. Up until junk time, I don't like to keep calling it garbage time. Up until garbage time, there were 6 bench points scored for the Mavericks. 6. Of course, it's not like the starters had scored that many points either, so it didn't necessarily matter. But woo, howdy! Yeah. I mean,
PJ at least compensated for not having threes.
PJ had 3 offensive rebounds because he grabbed his own missed shots. Like finish a fucking post up over Derek White, please. Sorry,
he was 5 of 8 from 2. Like that's he at least.
And then he was 0 for 3, and then he was and then he committed. Honestly, man, things really got out of hand in that first quarter whenever he picked up his second stupid foul. And we talked about that in the pregame where it's like in the pre-show preview where we're like watching this guy's dumb fouls is going to be a matter. Now, foul trouble didn't end up mattering in this game at all. It's for the best. So I'm just kind of frustrated. So I'm lashing out at everybody who played. Like Derek Jones Jr. was 1 of 7 from 2-point range.
That's
like what? That's hard to do. That's real. I mean, he got his shit thrown back at him by everybody and their uncle, and he knows it. And
Celtics had 9 blocks. The Mavericks had 1. Yeah. That hasn't happened to the Mavericks.
That hasn't happened. No, I mean,
Jaylen Brown had 3.
Brown was great at the rim. I mean, Brown got. I don't want to say Brown got away with anything because he didn't. Brown was allowed the physicality we've seen the Mavericks use in the postseason, is what I'll say. Porzingis, like.
Also, just not smart. They were not smart.
They were not smart. Like, what is like? I'm sorry, that Josh Green dunk at the end of the first quarter. Like, Josh Green played such a weird game. I don't know what to do. What Kid did was try everybody again off the bench because and nobody turned up this game except for Hardy, I suppose, because Hardy has like a fearlessness about him, but Hardy's fearlessness also results in like some just why did you do that decision making? But I'll take it compared to some of the other things we were seeing. I
but at the end of the day, Kyrie cannot go you just can't go for 5 from 3, and like you said, so many of those threes were wide open. Like one was off that offensive rebound. I think in the first half, I remember he missed one up there. The 3 he missed when they had cut the lead to 8. I think they got a stop. So I think it was either 8 or 10. So it was still within range in their comeback in the third. He comes off a screen and the Celtics are playing. And it's the thing we talked about with the Celtics. Like they do not like to put their bigs at the level of the screen. And KP dropped all the way back, and he walked into the most open 3-pointer off the bounce he's probably going to get in a playoff setting, and he missed it. And the Celtics went back. And it was just like, you just can't miss that shot, you know? You just can't.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you asked earlier, like, how I'm feeling. Like, I am frustrated at some very individual specific plays that didn't matter because the Mavericks were already getting boat raced. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it's, you know, they lost, but the result tonight didn't surprise me, because I've been, you know, what was the thing that we talked about for like the first 15 minutes of our preview pod was this is a historically great team. This is going to happen, you know, but it's also a long series. There's potentially six more games after this. So, you know, this doesn't surprise me, but it also wouldn't surprise me if the Mavericks win game 2. So, you know, this is just kind of, you know, this is what happens after a long series. You're playing a great team. Now you got to adjust.
Yeah, but what do you adjust to? Because you look at the Celtics shooting overall, and like you mentioned, I don't think anybody had a particularly great shooting game. Rather, they had a great shooting quarter. I mean, poor Jason Tatum is getting slandered again on the internet for having like just the most like late stage Carmelo Anthony game. I've like 16 points, 11 boards, 5 assists, 6 turnovers. He was taking like some I'm just trying to kill clock shots that didn't go in. Like, it's
after they're already up by
after they're up by 25. So it's like, who fucking cares? I don't really necessarily see, like, I don't think anybody on the Celtics, you know, even Porzingis came back down to earth. Like, he had a great game overall, plus 13, 20 points, 6 boards, 3 blocks, 8 of 13 from the floor. And I'm pretty sure he made like 7 of his first 8 and then proceeded to miss the next 5, which that's, you know, we've experienced the Porzingis cycle. He is a burst player.
Yeah, the second half, it was the Mavericks lost the second half by 1 point, if I'm reading this right.
Yeah, but that is just...
so I know, because, you know, does that matter when you're down 20?
When you're down 29?
Yeah, I know, because they so I know, I'm just trying to look at the glass half full. But you're talking about adjustments. Offensively is probably the harder part to adjust, because defensively, I think that they kind of started to figure some things out a little bit as the game went on. The offense will be trickier because the Celtics they're gonna keep playing this defense.
That's fine.
They're gonna send
Luca has to make shots, and Luca needs to actually attack at the rim like he did.
Yeah, like he did. You keep doing that. Make threes, and have Kyrie make his threes, but then. I think they need a little bit more off-ball juice. Yeah. Like if your role players are being guarded one-on-one, you can't just expect Derek Jones Jr. and PJ Washington to stand in the corner and get open.
Yeah.
Like, I know those guys, you know, those guys aren't Klay Thompson. You're not going to run them off screens and all this stuff, but just do a little misdirection, do a little Kyrie screening. Got to get Luca setting some screens. Kyrie started setting some screens in the third quarter, and I thought that made a world of difference, even if it was still isolation one-on-one. Get Kyrie moving off ball a little bit. Like, if Kyrie... Like, I thought Kyrie was too, like, the only times he felt active he just didn't feel like his off-ball movement was mattering. Like, they need to take advantage of that a little bit more. I think they need to maybe try to post up PJ Washington more. They did do a pick and roll rim run with Derek Jones Jr. and he got stuffed at the rim, but they got to keep trying that, though. You know, like, they don't let that discourage you, because you're going to need to move these role players around on the floor and not just have them stand still and watch Luca try to work one-on-one. Like, if that's how the Celtics are going to guard you, that means that those help defenders are playing up, right? Like, they're playing close. If they're playing close to your man off ball, brush them off. That means they should be easier to brush off screens. They should be easier to lose them a little bit. You got to take advantage. If you just kind of stand still and watch Luca try to bail you out with a 70-point game, that's not going to be the way to get it done. So the coaching staff has to go to the drawing board offensively and figure out some ways to get Washington, Jones, and even Kyrie just moving around without the ball a little bit more. And then maybe, in turn, you can get Gafford and Lively freed up a little bit more as well if there's just more stuff going on the floor instead of just one pick and roll, one-on-one, try to score. So that would be the offensive adjustment. Defense, you want to take a break and talk defense?
Yeah, real quick. We should be close to done anyways. We're halfway. I mean, we're 30 minutes into the show. I don't even know where the hell I'm. You know what? I'm just not going to put ads in on this one. I record so many fucking shows for Blue Wire. Like we'll be fine.
Okay.
Subscribe to the show, yay, and hang out afterwards because I'll have group therapy. We can talk for a little about it if anybody wants to, but if we don't want to, I'm just gonna go to bed. Tired.
Yep. Yeah. So defensively, I think they got to be better at containing dribble penetration, right? Like there were way too many blow-bys.
Mm-hmm.
That's something the Mavericks have been really good at, is guarding drives and preventing, paint touches and drives.
The first play of the game, like Gafford over pursued
yes
on a Horford corner shot and gave up a dunk. It's like what are we doing?
Yeah,
first play of the game.
Yeah, and this was the Mavericks defense, right? Was they don't give up the rim. And while 15 attempts at the rim is not a huge number, 15 of 15 is pretty ridiculous. 100% at the rim, it's going to be tough to win games when you give up 100% at the rim. So they got to contain dribble penetration better. They tried to switch with Lively, didn't work out well. So maybe they tweaked that a little bit. I don't know. Any other thoughts you had on the defense?
No, I mean, Lively being a rookie as all get out really set them back.
Because you were calling for him to guard on the perimeter more. And
there was one.
Did it. It just didn't look great.
There was one KP dunk from the right wing where Lively is like trying to get up under him, and this is the same Derek Lively who shut down Anthony Edwards, and he is under Kristaps Porzingis, basically begging him. Porzingis loves to go left. Like it used to fucking drive me crazy with the Mavericks where he would have a right-handed lane and he's a right-handed player and he wouldn't go right. He would always go left. Lively, excuse me, gets up under him and then he takes 2 hard dribbles, turns the corner on Lively and dunks the life out of the ball. And I'm sitting there watching this going, what are you doing?
You have the wingspan to contest without playing.
Right. That's the whole point of your 7'7" wingspan. If Kristaps Porzingis drills a jab step 3-pointer on you at that point, that's when you just throw up your hands and you say, okay, good play. Giving up a dunk is much more frustrating to me because he's the guy who guards the rim.
Right. And he also gave up a dunk. He was contesting a KP3, and I think he tried to leak out for a cherry pick dunk. And the Mavericks didn't get the offensive rebound. And then do you remember that? And then KP came back.
They gave up so many stupid offensive rebounds. That's going to be
that's tough.
Some of these were like 50-50 balls because they went real far. And like at that point, it's the
Celtics shoot so many threes, so many missed threes.
That's right. And they're still counting as offensive rebounds. But in my mind, when I look at like a long ball like that, I almost see it as a 50-50 ball that could go either way. And Dallas got the crap kicked out of them on that.
Yeah, it was 10-10 on offensive boards, and that's, you look at that and you're like, oh, well, they didn't get killed, but that's a number the Mavericks need to win handily because Boston is not a terrific.
Well, and Luca ends up with the most rebounds by far. Well, no, Washington had 8, but he had 3 offensive boards. But a lot of the other Mavericks just didn't do a good job boxing out and rebounding and getting the ball. I mean, the Celtics dominated the boards, but that's in no small part to the fact that the Mavericks missed a ton of shots.
Yeah, for sure. I'm looking more offensive boards. Lively only 1 offensive rebound. And 18.
This is a wild thing. The Celtics only hit 4 more field goals than the Mavericks.
Math.
Yeah.
They play the math game.
Now, granted, they hit 9 more threes. So that's the difference. And,
my big takeaway on defense is
sorry.
Of course, Amber Alert.
Yeah, got it.
They're gonna hit threes. Like I wouldn't overreact to the threes because that's just Boston is gonna take so many threes. They're gonna make threes. Like the fact that they only hit 38%, I think it's almost a number you can live with. You probably can't live with 42 attempts. You probably need to try a little bit better job at limiting the number of attempts. But Boston's so good. Like I don't know if I would chase the dragon of trying to shut down their 3-point game.
I mean,
I think they need to do is a better job at these dribble penetration. They shouldn't be giving up 15 of 15 at the rim. And then you go back to you give up these blow-bys, drive and kick. Like it just opened up their drive and kick game. Like they were just like it never felt like they got stuck, except for maybe that third quarter stretch where I think they got a lot better, being more physical at the point of attack on dribble penetration. But by then it's like, you're down 20, whatever. You have to play a perfect game from there. So if they can start the game with how they play defense in the third quarter, I think that gives them a chance.
Sure. Sure. I mean, there's little points of momentum in the game that made all the difference.
Kirk got a.
Yeah, I know these are great comments. Kirk got a Derek Lively Amber Alert.
And
Amber Alert would go out for the Mavs missing 3-point shots.
That's right.
The Amber Alert was for Kyrie Irving.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the bigger one. You need the one guy on your team that's been in an NBA Finals to look like he's been there before. You can give your 20-year-old rookie maybe some slack. So,
well, and we have been. I mean, none of this is overly critical. Like, I'm looking forward to somebody clipping me and saying that I said something stupid.
Oh, they're going to get you for the Luca segment, and they're going to leave.
Why? I said he was the best player on the floor.
No,
he just,
I know.
I mean,
Yeah, that's the one thing I don't know if I can figure out. Can they win the minutes without Luca on the floor?
Oh, my God. When he was off the floor, they just got waxed.
Yeah. Or maybe not win. Win is probably too strong.
You got to hold
keep it close. Yeah. Can they do that?
I don't know. They should be able to. It involves Kyrie Irving not being careful.
That's right.
Sorry, just that simple. Trying to think if there's anything else.
I felt like we hit it pretty good.
Did you see the list? That was my favorite. Like the list of celebrities, Boston celebrities at the game.
I did not see that.
There was I'm
sure all the Wahlbergs were there, right?
Well, my favorite one was notable Boston Celtics alumni Jason Terry.
Wait, was that all like the NBA?
I'm not kidding. NBA PR put that out. He was like the third to last person on this giant list, and you read through it, and it made me laugh out loud.
He was definitely there for the Celtics. NBA.
Right, definitely there.
You nailed it.
His most famous moment involved LeBron dunking him into oblivion.
Poor guy. Hey, whatever.
Yeah. My favorite. I have some Wolves fans talking to me on my phone, being like, "We wouldn't have gotten killed." Yes, they fucking would have. Sorry. Well, if you think our offense was bad, what the heck do you think the Celtics would have done to the Wolves? But prehistoric mess. Okay, I'm gonna hang out here and do a little.
It's okay. We only get 5 days to think about this before the next game because of the schedule.
It's just the best. And I coached my first basketball game on Saturday. I will note to not give up lots of 3-pointers to 8-year-olds. So
that's right. Show them some footage of this game. This is not what to do. Don't do this. Drill it in.
All right, everybody have a good night. Everybody listening on the live stream, please feel free to. I'm going to post the link, and we'll see if we'll do a secondary show if anybody wants to talk. That one we did after the Wolves game, we had 60 people talk, and I bet we're not going to get anyone that wants to come up tonight because, relatively speaking, there is no one watching the show. And that's just the way these things go. So if we do record a secondary show, it'll be posted into your podcast feed at some point tomorrow. Those of you who are still in here hanging out, I'll post the link shortly, and we can come talk a little basketball. Everybody else, thanks so much for hanging out. Have a good night, and I will be right back. Hello, friends. Welcome to Pod Mavericks Group Therapy. I'm Kirk Anderson, editor-in-chief at Mavs Moneyball, and the person who does most of the podcasts for those of us at Pod Maverick. Thanks so much for hanging out. The Dallas Mavericks lost to the Boston Celtics 107-89. If you'd like to talk out your feelings, this is the show for you. As you guys may or may not remember, there is a link in the YouTube live stream where you can click into the show and join me like you'd join a Zoom call at work, all sorts of different things. And, I'm going to bring people up. Looks like we have 4 completely new guests, so we're going to go in order. But you guys will hang out here till we're done for the evening. Let's keep it a little bit snappy, but, I want you guys to talk through your frustrations here. Zach, welcome to the show. What's going on, man?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. What's up?
Man, I don't even know where to start with this game. I'll be quick though. I'm
Sure.
looking at the stats. I'm like, when is the last time Luca had 1 assist, if ever?
Been many, many moons. I don't know. It maybe like there was like a Miami Heat game where he hurt his ankle in 2020, like 4 minutes into the game, like like something like that. That it's got to be such a statistical anomaly. The Celtics did a really good job sitting on all the Mavericks shooters, and then the Mavericks did a really good job missing every shot possible.
Oh man, they're saying Luca go to work and nobody else is gonna eat. And my friend was texting me during the game. He kept saying Kyrie's selling, and I was trying to defend him. I'm like, and then I was like, well, second half he'll get right, and then it never happened. I'm just like, oh man.
I mean, he's got to hit an open shot. Like he connected on some really difficult ones because he did finish 6 of 19. But then you go look at his 3-point shots, and they were just all bricks, like real painful bricks.
Yeah, and dare I say we might need a THJ early.
No, never. I mean, no, he did play minutes this game.
He did. It just seemed like everybody else was scared to shoot. I mean, you mentioned Maxey. I mean, I took him to at least make 1 3 tonight. I guess that was a bad idea. And then, everybody just looked kind of timid. And but I promise you, I'm taking the under on KP next game. He is not doing that again. And that's pretty much all I have, man. I'm still Mavs in 6, but that was concerning.
Yeah. It's I picked the Mavs in 5, so this is very painful for my prediction.
I like it though. I like it.
All right, you got anything else?
You know what? I'm gonna make it short. I'll see y'all next game. Hopefully, it'll be a better outcome. And go Mavs.
Thanks, man. Talk soon. All right. So last show, I with like 60 guests, I made a comment where I was like, do we not have any women that listen to this show whatsoever? I have since been told by multiple women that they do in fact listen, but they don't want to get up on stage here on YouTube. But I do think we may have our first ever. So we're going to invite her up to the show. Shannon, what's up?
Hello.
Welcome. Tell us what you thought of that absolute travesty of a game.
Hey. I am a positive person, and they don't win a lot of first round games
ever.
And so when I was telling the people at the Outback Steakhouse where I was watching the game that they needed to be more positive, but it was what it was.
Do you want to hear a fun stat?
Yes.
So I heard at the end of the broadcast, right as they clicked to the after show, they said teams that win game 1 win 70% of the NBA finals. Now, here's the thing. The Dallas Mavericks are involved in 2 of the 30% in history because Dallas Mavericks went up 2-0 against the Miami Heat, lost the Miami Heat in 2006, and then they went down 0-1 to the Miami Heat in 2011, won that series. So I don't really have much stock in that stat, and I feel very, relatively positive. Let's get through game 2 and then see where we are.
For sure. Has anyone theorized that Porzingis was never actually injured and that he was just waiting for this game?
I love that theory, but I have also torn my meniscus and it destroyed my leg for like 6 months. I mean, I think that what we, and I will never be able to prove this, but I think that both he and the Mavericks were never quite honest enough with how injured he was because he tore it in August in the bubble in 2020. Do you remember the NBA season started that December, like really soon, and the NBA players thought it was going to go because of COVID restrictions and stuff. They thought it was going to take another couple of months because no one was really ready to play. So Porzingis came back in January, but he was not right. He was, and so I just really don't think he ever really recovered. So, do you mean Alex points out? Do you mean his calf strain with the Celtics earlier? Do you mean the injury with the Mavericks? I'm sorry, Alex. That's a really good point.
I meant his current injury that he was like, I'm injured. I can't play these playoffs.
I like that theory. Like, just put him on the shelf until you need him.
The other folks at the Outback agreed.
I mean, he looked like he had never been injured. And
the woman next to me said, he looks like he's an AI character playing.
Because everything was going in. I mean, it was like everything was coming up Porzingis. It was very painful. It was very painful for me. Oh, well, I'm sorry you had to endure that loss in public. I was just sitting by myself, like it was not fun watching that game by myself, like swearing to no one.
It was kind of fun to complain about it with others and enjoy it.
It is. I need to do that, but I was writing the game recap, and I can't take notes if I'm with other people because I just want to talk to everyone.
A blooming onion helped.
I'm sure. Well, you got anything else for us?
Not really. Just I'm excited to be the first woman maybe to be on camera. But I listened
in like 2 years. You're the best. Thank you so much for joining us.
Bye.
Bye. All right, Ben Jovi, what's up, friend?
What's up? You got me, Kirk?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I had some drinks at the corner bar with my Mavs fam. So I don't know. I'll try to stay on track here, but I didn't really have any specific points other than I don't feel like we have to change our game plan a whole lot, especially on defense. I think guys will do better. I don't think Boston has any cards to play much differently. We know this is it. They do the same thing all the time. This is what they do. And obviously Kyrie no-showed, and for whatever, I don't know, what can you do about that?
Yep.
But I think, the KP thing, I just don't see him. I mean, because he didn't flame out in the second half either. Like it was really the first half. I mean, it just destroyed us. Like you said, all the 50-50 balls, we missed a lot of chippies, every little bounce this way or that it's not like we weren't hustling, we just didn't get them. And I just don't really feel like, because of, we obviously shot like trash from three. Luca played well, but not like amazing. Carried the team to, still a loss. But
yeah,
I don't know, man. A couple more threes. We had open threes, many open threes, especially Kyrie. Like you said, 4 out of 5 of those were wide open.
I mean, I'm scroll back and take a look at this. So
I think I just feel like everybody's like, oh, just do this, do that, change it up. I don't think we have to do that. I just, we can make small changes, like just have Maxey shoot more when he gets those open looks, like little stuff like that. And then defensively, we'll just have the experience of game one to build on. I just don't think there's any reason to panic after this kind of loss, considering it wasn't that much different than like the game one losses we had against the Clippers or the Thunder, in terms of us still sort of coming back and showing that, like, we can play competitive with this team. We just, for whatever reason, we got out to such a terrible start.
Second PJ foul really threw things for a loop. They had to go to Green. They had to go to Green early, and Green is. I think this is going to be a series where he plays a lot, but I don't think he can. I think he plays because of necessity, but he's not like the Celtics have all these bigger forwards, and he just gets his ass kicked. Like Tatum is so much bigger than him. He's like, right. I don't really understand what they want him to do. And that's where it's like PJ getting, touch fouls. It's like, dude, don't do that. Don't do that thing.
And when he's not smart enough, like when the energy's up and he's in transition, to like not try to dunk over KP, like just give him a little hitch. There was nobody else around. If he just sort of one little hezzy step, he's got a layup. Like you can do that, Josh Green. You can, and I think a different dude with that ball in that situation would have done that. But I don't know, man. Obviously, it's not like I'm like, yay, we're gonna win the series. Yeah. But I don't feel like it's so dramatically bad, because they, I've been saying if Boston can shoot 39, 40% from the series, then yeah, we're probably cooked.
Well, you get to so I'm looking at in the game log, and this is kind of where just everything went awry. And maybe even if it hadn't gone this way, maybe the Mavericks still would have lost. But things went from like really interesting, where the Mavericks are down 72-64. Celtics call timeout. The Mavericks come back in, and they let's see here. What happens? Porzingis or Brown or Jason Tatum misses one of his many shots. Lively gets the rebound and then travels in that sort of like scrum where he knocked Porzingis on his ass. That was one turnover that was maddening. And then he immediately fouls Jaylen Brown. Brown makes 1 of 2.
That was right at the point where we had gotten it down to 8, right?
Yes. And so like Brown makes 1 of 2 free throws. The Mavericks are down 9. Luca gets the board off of the second miss. He passes to Kyrie. Kyrie makes this crazy shot in the middle of the key, but they called him for traveling, and it was traveling.
Absolutely.
Then they come back down. Porzingis misses a 27-footer. The Maverick, and it was one of those classic Porzingis misses where the ball comes off the rim so hard it might as well have been a turnover. And then he like I think Tatum, Tatum gets the rebound and finds him for a dunk. And then so the Mavericks are down 11 at this point, and this is where things went absolutely to hell. Irving misses a wide open 3-pointer. Pull up 3-point jump shot. Yeah, one of his many. And then Lively picks up his 5th foul, I think, at this point. And then all of a sudden the Celtics are off to the races. And that was like when the game went sideways very quickly. So
yeah, and I think Luca will find more ways to try to get some of their guys in foul trouble. And so maybe we can flip that.
But I don't know if you see, anytime Luca tries to hunt fouls in this kind of situation, meaning these big playoff games, I don't think it works out for him. I think he just needs to play the game and attack the rim, and he gets the fouls he's going to get, Yeah.
Well, I agree. He definitely did some of that. Right. I don't think he should try to push on that, but he can do it, and he did it in this game.
Sure.
And I just think I don't think he did it in the first half though. The second half's really where he went down to the post. Or did those several driving layups like that. But so yeah, I'm just not super worried. They look like I expected them to look, the Celtics, So I'm not, and I just know that we have a lot more. And I mean, look, you look at the threes. Well, I don't know what the total was. Was it like 7 of 20?
Yeah, 7 of 20. They shot 25% from threes. Horrible.
Look, if we make 3 or 4 more, Kyrie hits a couple more of those 2s. This is a much different game, and then we missed so many chippies, many chippy little like rolling off the rim, So the game bounces go this way and that, and there was a lot of that in this game. So I don't feel so bad about the defensive effort, especially offense. We definitely got to do some different things.
Yeah, I'm much more frustrated with the offense. All right, man. Thanks so much for joining.
All right, man. Y'all have a good one.
All right, coming up next is my guy EJ. What's up, man?
Hey, how's it going, Kirk?
I am sleepy.
Yeah, me too, brother. Yeah, I just wanted to come up and say, like I texted you. Well, I totally forgot you were going to be on the podcast.
That's okay. We make content out of our text messages. That's for the best.
It's I think it's a rhythm thing, right? Like Luca's really the only one that had sort of a good rhythm, and like having that long layoff after back-to-back series where they get 2 days, 3 days rest in between.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they just kind of lost a little bit of focus. And yeah, and again, TD Garden is a heck of a place to try to eke out a win. I mean,
one of the Mavs Moneyball guys, Jordan, had the theory that like Luca, like long layoffs, Luca looks rusty after long layoffs, whereas everybody else looks rested. And he got into the game once he got banged up. Like once he gets hit, it's almost like he's a running back who needs to be hit a couple of times before he starts to go. So
he needs to get warmed up.
Yeah,
like the guys have said before, a lot of just wide open shots and chippies that didn't go our way. Those are going to come. Like I'm just as usually the guy that is, yelling at TV or panicking in these situations, but like game ones just don't usually go our way. It went our way against Minnesota because they were gassed and they were just for built to beat Denver and not really anyone else. But like, yeah, I think I'm still feeling good, especially since we dug out of that 29 point deficit
Yep.
back to 8. That's super encouraging. It's just, those silly turnovers back to back traveling that really just killed our momentum. So
Sure.
yeah, I think we'll be okay.
Yeah. Well, appreciate you joining, man. Talk soon. All right.
Yep. Go Mavs.
All right. Sarah in the chat asked an interesting question where she said, I don't know what happened with Luca and Kai in the second half. Well, Kai wasn't around for the entire game. That's fair enough. But Luca, he gets those 27 points off that made 3 at about the 4:30 mark. And then he only scores 3 more points the rest of the game. He missed a number of makeable shots. This is kind of the answer, but he was at least taking them. But yeah, that's part of it. All right, we got Sudar Shan, and then we're going to finish out with Dylan, and then we'll go about our merry way. Morning, how are you?
Hey, rough morning.
Yeah. What'd you think? Did you get to watch the game?
I did. I mean, I was up early because actually I was a little wired, so I figured I might as well get a little early work in.
Sure.
But yeah, I think the first 6 minutes were okay, and then I think everyone then decided, you know what, we're doing okay. Let's just do our own bullshit.
Yep.
And I think that was about the time when Porzingis checked in.
Yep.
I don't know what it is about everyone that made it's like they wanted to prove that they could dunk all over Porzingis or something like that, which was ridiculous, and it just got the entire crowd into it. Who were already into it in some sense, but it really got them going. And then he started hitting shots, and then it was like, oh my God, we don't know what the hell we're doing.
Yeah.
And that was everyone. And that's actually when you would expect your leaders to chime in, but then Kyrie Irving, basically, we need to put an MIA out on.
He was not around this game, that's for certain.
No, and actually, I'm actually looking for asshole Kyrie to show up at some point. We need someone to call him out on this kumbaya bullshit. At some point, needs to sort of ease out. At some point, I think it's been pointed out that he's 0 for 11 in their last 11 games against Boston, and I don't know. I think he needs to be a little bit more assertive, like kind of like how he was in Game 1 against Minnesota when you heard Anthony Edwards say, "I got Kyrie," and then he was like, "Do you really?"
Right.
And this time it feels like he's trying to make peace with the fans in Boston. He's not going to get that.
I know.
There is no way he's ever going back to that place and not getting booed. So he might as well just be an asshole and own up to it.
That's right.
So yeah, it's the usual. We're back to normal. We lose Game 1 in embarrassing fashion. So let's hope that being back to the normal actually pays off going forward.
Man, we'll see. We'll see. I hope so. It's Sunday, 2 days off, lots of time to look at tape, figure something out. Kids made great adjustments. We'll see where we go from here.
Yep.
All right,
anyway,
man.
I'm glad to hear your dog's cancer free.
Thanks. Yeah. It's been, he had a brain tumor removed a couple of years ago, which is, a weird thing to say about a dog, but we've been doing recheckups, and I got to drive all the way. I got to drive like 300, I guess like 160 miles both directions today. So it's real fun. So I'm ready to go to sleep. I'll tell you that much. All right. Well, we'll see you after Game 2, I hope. Okay.
Yes. Take care.
All right. Talk soon. All right. Coming up last here is Dylan. What's going on, Dylan? Welcome to the show.
Hi. Can you hear me?
I can. You sound good.
Cool. I will be brief because I know
good.
you've had a day. So I got my notes here. Talking about chippies that we missed. Just when PJ and Derek Jones Jr. drive to the rim, I have no confidence that something good is going to happen unless they dunk the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And watching, so some of those chippies, I like when PJ goes flying down the lane recklessly and puts something up. I have no faith that's going in. I don't necessarily consider that a chippy,
Sure. The floaters that he puts up scare me, but they go in more often than they don't. And he's pretty good at following his own shot. But it's funny you say this because I actually said something to the effect of like this in the Mavs Moneyball Slack tonight, where I'm just like, man, watching PJ on offense is sometimes a very frustrating situation. Even though, he did finish, I think he hit 5 2-pointers and he missed all his 3. So he was like 5 of 8 from 2, which is not bad. Certainly, it's
good.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, the box score will indicate that, but watching the game, there's a few times going down the lane where it's just
right.
Also, I have a question for you. Did Derek Jones Jr. he made that 3 like right off the bat, first minute of the game?
He made one more shot the rest of the game.
That's that's what I was worried about. Did he take? Was it a 3?
It was a 2. It was like a floater that he actually got to fall.
I don't even remember him taking another 3, which is just frustrating. That's just so frustrating. But I think in general, I'm not as pessimistic as what it seems like a lot of people might be. This was a game 1. We did this. We've done this before. We did this against the Thunder and the Clippers, and go back and in time memoriam, we just have. This is what we do.
The Mavericks have traditionally gotten shelled in almost every game 1 that they've played in all these series. Like Kid under Kid for sure, but even going back before Kid when they played with Carlisle, like when they're not at home, they almost they lose game 1. It's just it's sort of a thing, and if you want to take some sauce and say, all right, this is kind of what happens, they get beat by they were down by 25 points to both the Clippers and the Thunder. And so you can, if you want to look, there's not like silver lining for getting the crap kicked out of you, only to say that like, well, we've had this happen before, and then they come back in game 2. So this is important. Right.
And I would like to note that in the history of the Mavericks, when we win game 1 of the finals, we're 0-1. And when we lose game 1 of the finals, we're 1-0.
That's right.
So
that's right.
Like so and then I one last thing for you. I just wanted to talk about Kyrie throwing the ball 10 feet behind Maxi Kleber out of bounds. That was to me was like might have been the dagger. That's just like, oh my God. Oh, what are we doing? So yeah, that's it. That's all I got for you. I appreciate everything you do. You're dedicated as hell, and I love that. So
nothing like routine, man. Well, I like that jersey you got on, and hopefully we'll come back for game 2. Okay.
Absolutely. I'll be here. I'll hop on again when we win.
All right. Dylan, have a good rest of your week. Okay.
You too, Kirk. Take care, man.
We got one more joiner. We have Sam. Sam, what's up, man?
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you. What's up?
All right. Yeah. Just left the bar, and I don't want to say I drunk my sorrows away, because when you get your ass kicked, you kind of accept it. So
sure.
It is what it is. Everybody's pretty much talked about it. It's almost kind of like the game they had in Boston earlier in the year, where they were kind of getting dominated, but then they were able. I think they actually cut it to like 2 in that game, and then Boston just kicked it into overdrive, and then we just couldn't hit nothing, and we got blown out by like 30. So like this case is kind of the same thing. I mean, we cut it to 8. We got to stop. D-line had a turnover. KP throws up a bullshit 3, doesn't go in. They get an offensive rebound. Tatum hits a dunk, and then Kyrie travels, and that's kind of it. Nobody hit nothing. So it's that was the game. I mean, well, that wasn't the game. The first quarter was really the game. I really wasn't expecting a KP kind of masterclass, to be honest. So that really kind of threw me off. So
death by Porzingis is painful.
Yeah, I, to be honest, I think I thought the Mavs as well, because you haven't played in a month. You just don't think, oh, he's coming off the bench too, so he might be rested, he might be a little off, but he started hitting haymakers and we weren't able to stand up. So I would say this: after the first quarter, I mean, for the most part, we played okay. I mean, it's not we outscored them by like 5. I mean, if that means anything. So it wasn't like we can hold our heads heads high on that, but. Other than that, I mean, hey, we suck in game 1, so I'm gonna chalk it off to that. And I have to give Kid the benefit of the doubt, because he has made adjustments in every playoff series. So I don't know if we really need to make an adjustment per se. We just gotta hit shots. Like if Kyrie hits,
that'll help.
He hits half of his 30s.
The game feels different. Sure.
Yeah, we still might lose, but it won't. You won't feel like you're down by 15 to 20 most of the game. So Take our medicine on in game 2, and if the same thing happens in game 2, we might be in trouble. But everybody says it's the first to 4, it's not the first to 1 or 2. So just
That's
gotta
right, man.
see what happens.
All right, we'll talk soon. Okay.
Have a good night, man.
All right, CJ, welcome to the show. What's going on?
Hey, Kirk, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. You sound great, actually. What's going on?
Cool. Yeah, I'm just letting my dog out do her business as I listen to the stream here. Been in and out, but I don't know, man. I'm just trying to think of like, I don't know. Is there any coverage? Is there any way that we can, I don't know, try to take care of these threes, these corner threes that Derek White was killing us for? I know we didn't get our screen and rolls kind of going since they switch, but I guess when it comes to options, I'm just like, I can't think of anything that could kind of work for defending that and for getting at least a little bit of our offensive bread and butter. You know what I mean?
I mean, there were some really, like, the Mavericks tried to push with people that aren't really particularly good at pushing the ball. There were some really sloppy instances of things happening in the game that I don't know how often these things actually work for the Mavericks. Like, there was the Josh Green attempted a dunk at the end of the first quarter.
Yeah,
There were
little floater, lay it up, or
yeah, he took like a mid-range.
break
Yeah, and so I think, I want the Mavericks to push in transition, but it's got to be Kyrie, PJ, or Luca led.
Yes.
And so that's part of it for me, not Josh Green. I don't even mind the occasional Jaden Hardy thing, but like the Jaden Hardy attempts work both for and against you, depending on the situation.
Right.
So
yeah. With
it's
the
like
Hardy piece, it's like we're at that point where we're gonna exchange. I mean, we had maybe 3 minutes, just 5 minutes of Tim. I imagine Kid's gonna go back to Exum at some point, but like, come on, like, I mean, what what really can? Yeah, all those 3 players have their limitations, right? They have their shortcomings, right? But they have the little bit that they can give you. But I don't know if we're gonna outrun, the Derek Whites, the Jaylen Browns, the Tatums, and Drews, So
yeah. Well, I mean, sometimes you just got to have like the shooting variance stuff can sometimes work against and for you.
We need a fucking board, man. Like that
yeah, the
that
long
first quarter,
rebounds killed Dallas.
5 offensive rebounds. I'm sitting here.
Well, like 4 of them were in one possession. They were lucky that the Celtics didn't hit any of those shots.
Yeah, man. Yeah. It's frustrating early on. I mean, they're not. Let's see. I guess I'll say reluctantly, they're not that bigger than us with PJ and Gafford out there.
No, I don't think so. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's just a lot. It's a big moment. It's a big game 1 halfway through the first, and that possession that we're talking about here. Yeah. But yeah, you guys have kind of hit the nail on the head, board a little bit more. The shooting anomalies, if we can call them that, may not necessarily be there in the next couple of games. I love the KP Luca moments. It's the Boston crowd, and I personally feel how I feel about the Boston crowd. But yeah, they were getting into it whenever they were. You want to see that. Those are the moments we're here for. Yeah, we can kind of be a little, we can have our little post-game blues, but like we can see the silver lining here and there. Like it could be a long series, or this could go another direction, which we hope it doesn't. But I'm here for the ride, man. I just want to send that good energy to you guys as my dog. I don't know. She's not peeing right now as she does her thing. So, but yeah, thanks for having me on, man.
Of course. Hope you come back. Talk soon, CJ. Have a good one.
Peace.
I'm apparently a very bad host in that I didn't see these super chats that were in here, and they've been in here for a while. 7 Harry Lime says suggested game plan for game 2. Each player goes 1-on-1 and tries to dunk on the 7'3" guy. It's pretty good, man. Chas says bad foul calls on Lively on comeback attempt hurt the Mavericks' momentum. Refs didn't allow the Mavericks to play defense. I think there's a little something to that. The Mavericks have been getting away with a lot of physicality, but I thought it evened out in the end of the game. It is what it is. The Mavericks don't get down by 29 points is my main thought. And then PC says we played in the refs not calling fouls. The Celtics threes equals sad face. Yes, lots of Celtics threes equals sad face for sure. So sorry for not calling out those super chats earlier. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out. We'll be back on Sunday night. I may try to record with somebody else tomorrow just to kind of fill the gaps in the schedule since we have time, but we'll never see. I don't really know what all I'm going to be able to get done because I got real work to do. Everybody be good. Have a better end of your week, and we will see you guys on Sunday night. Go Mavs.